This is the story of OR7, a wolf called Journey, who became the first wild wolf returning to California in almost 100 years and captivated our imaginations and respect in his epic trek. At any given time in wild wolf populations, only 20% are alone, and not for long. Without a family, there are so many dangers, not the least of which is the fact that in the West, 10% of wolves are killed by poachers every year. If a wolf alone faces increased risk, why do wolves disperse? Some wolves leave their families to find mates. Others are forced out by family politics. And still others grow weary of life as the omega wolf, the lowest-ranking member, and look for higher status with another group. Any of these realities may have prompted OR7 to strike out from his Imnaha family in sparsely populated Wallowa County, Oregon. OR7 was born in the spring of 2009, his stud name showing that he was the 7th wolf to be radio-collared in Oregon. His parents were the successful breeding pair of mother, Sophie, B300, and father, OR4. Wolves mate for life, and these impressive parents raised an unusually large family of 16 members. His father, OR4, a powerful alpha male, was considered to be a very tough but good father. OR4 was the largest wolf collared in Oregon, weighing in at 110 to 115 pounds. His howl was as resonant as a canine Pavarotti. Robust and charcoal black, OR4 was so tenacious a survivor that he escaped kill orders and poachers. He endured at least 4 collarings, and he beat the odds, writes Oregon wild blogger Rob Clavins. There aren't many 10-year-old wolves out there. With such a long-lived and mighty patriarch, a son might do well to disappear if he ever wanted to breed and find a mate and found a family of his own. Our human stories, from Greek myths to Star Wars, are full of father-son struggles. Perhaps the same tensions drove OR7 to seek out his own destiny. But nobody could fathom just how far OR7 would wander to find his own territory. There was really no need for OR7 to travel over 1,000 miles, or even leave Oregon. In 2011, there were only 29 wolves in the state. These were descended from the few wolves migrating down from central Idaho, where wolves were reintroduced in 1995, through the Cascade Mountains, and into far northeastern Oregon on the border of Washington and Idaho. But the westward movement of wolves mirrors that of our human pioneer migrations. So, like Lewis and Clark and the hordes of settlers who followed, the wolves traveled west. There were rumors of wolves in the west, a paw print on Mount Hood there, a sighting on Santiam Pass there, writes Zach Urness in his fascinating series, When the Wolves Returned to Western Oregon. When I covered the 1997 Olympic Wolf Summit in Washington for the Seattle Times, there were already wolves repopulating the Cascade Mountains on their own, venturing down from Canada. The West was much more welcoming to the return of wolves than the Rockies and the Great Lakes. At the Wolf Summit, Washington Congressman Norm Dix had declared, "We have the opportunity to correct a historic mistake." Dix pointed out that the total cost to taxpayers of all previous wolf reintroduction had only been a nickel per person. Wildlife officials in the West paved the way for returning wolves. But not everyone was excited about wild wolves returning on their own. OR7's family lived in the heart of hostile cattle country. Wallowa County cattle ranches make up 1/3 of the local economy. There are nearly 30,000 beef cattle and almost 20,000 dairy cows in the county, notes an excellent article, What One Wolf's Extraordinary Journey Means for the Future of Wildlife in America. Even though 70% of Oregon residents support wolf recovery, those wolves, known to have ventured across the Snake River beginning in the late 90s, were shipped back, shot, or run over by cars. These cattle ranchers graze on public lands and have received almost $2 million in livestock subsidies since 1995.